Every great empire carries a hidden side. Behind every polished financial system lies an unseen marketplace, a silent realm where honesty is exchanged while official voices echo with deception. When money ceases to function, people don't wait for approval. They create a parallel economy, one that ignores regulations, banks, and central authorities. It operates on the oldest forms of value, necessity, trust, and gold. That's the part economists never talk about. The black market, isn't, a glitch in capitalism. It's capitalism, stripped of its PR department. Weimar Germany, 1923. The mark wasn't inflating, it was evaporating. A loaf of bread cost 250 marks in January, 200 million by November. Cash became trash. Families burned banknotes for heat because coal was more expensive. Children played with stacks of cash like building blocks. Governments called it temporary. People called it survival. They stopped saving in marks and started saving in anything real. Gold, silver, foreign coins, even cigarettes. A gold wedding ring could feed a family for a week. Paper money became wallpaper, literally. When belief dies, the black market takes over. The same cycle repeated across war-torn Europe. Governments rationed food, medicine, and fuel in the name of fairness. But fairness doesn't survive scarcity. In occupied Paris, coffee was contraband, sugar a luxury, and penicillin a miracle reserved for those who could pay in gold or favors. Soldiers and civilians met in back rooms, trading uniforms for gasoline, diamonds for food. In the Warsaw Ghetto, black market traders risked death daily to smuggle bread. The state called them criminals. The starving called them essential workers. That's the second law of collapse. Legality and morality never collapse at the same speed. By the Cold War, the system learned to lie more efficiently. The Soviet Union claimed to have abolished markets entirely, but everyone knew someone who could get things. Need a refrigerator? Pay in vodka. Need car parts? A carton of Marlboros will do. Blue jeans became currency. Proof that Western luxury was more valuable than socialist equality. Even the elites used the same networks. The people's government had private stores stocked with foreign goods. Party officials' wives bought French perfume smuggled in through Finland while preaching proletarian sacrifice. Communism failed not because it was poor, but because it had to pretend the black market didn't exist. In Latin America, the script was different, but the plot identical. Argentina, 2001. Banks freeze deposits, and citizens wake up broke. The blue dollar becomes the country's real heartbeat. People exchange money in alleys, on sidewalks, at nail salons, quoting rates that change twice a day. The official peso is a joke. The underground one is survival. Venezuela went further. Inflation turned grotesque. People carried backpacks of cash to buy groceries, and still couldn't afford them. So they turned to gold dust. Yes, actual gold dust, measured on kitchen scales, and traded in plastic bags. The government condemned it, then quietly used the same system to fund itself. That's the irony every government repeats. The louder it condemns the black market, the more it relies on it. Because black markets don't just move goods, they keep the illusion of order alive. They feed soldiers, fuel trucks, medicate the sick. They do what bureaucracy can't: work. During World War II, Allied officers bought contraband fuel from the smugglers they were supposed to arrest. In post-war Italy, the mafia's distribution network was more efficient than the government's. The underground has always been the emergency generator of civilization. And gold. Gold is the battery that powers it. It's the only money that doesn't require belief. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't vanish with a crash or freeze with a policy. 1 ounce in Berlin, Beirut, or Beijing means the same thing: autonomy. That's why every ideology that tries to replace gold ends up crawling back to it. When the church banned interest in the Middle Ages, Florentine bankers hid gold behind exchange contracts. When the Soviets outlawed private wealth, they hoarded Western coins in safes. When modern central banks mock gold as obsolete, they still buy record tons of it. Because deep down, they know the truth. When paper dies, gold survives. But let's go deeper. How does a black market actually work? It starts small. Someone trades cigarettes for sugar. A mechanic fixes a car in exchange for fuel. A pharmacist sells extra antibiotics off the books. Then networks form: brokers, smugglers, middlemen, until the illegal economy becomes the only functioning one. And it's brutally honest. Prices rise not by decree, but by desperation. Supply and demand stripped of sentimentality. It's Adam Smith with a gun in the room. Who profits? The same people who always do, those with access, information, or courage. Who suffers? Those who still believe the official story. Every black market is a classroom, and its first lesson is cruel. Trust is the most expensive currency. But black markets also leave scars. When a society learns to trade in shadows, it stops trusting daylight. After Weimar, Germany never again trusted inflation. That trauma birthed decades of fiscal obsession. After the Soviet Union, Russia became a gangster economy because citizens had learned that every law had a price. And in Latin America, entire generations learn to measure the honesty of a government by the price of the dollar on the street. The shadow economy doesn't just reflect collapse, it shapes what comes next. It rewires morality. It creates a new kind of citizen, skeptical, cunning, fluent in survival. And that's the part Western audiences always miss. They think it can't happen here. But it's already happening, just with better marketing. When Canada froze bank accounts during protests, the world saw a polite version of capital control. When the European Union introduced digital currency frameworks, they promised transparency. Translation, programmable money, one step from rationing. When inflation hit the West, politicians called it temporary. Translation, permanent. If you're poor, control is being rebranded as convenience. Surveillance as security. Dependency as modernity. And just like every other empire before, the more control they seek, the faster the black market grows. Because you can outlaw trade, but you can't outlaw need. The new black market isn't in alleys, it's online. Encrypted chats in Nigeria moving dollars faster than banks. Peer-to-peer, crypto swaps in Argentina. Offshore stablecoins traded in Southeast Asia. It's the same instinct as always. Create an economy that can't be frozen. People aren't rebelling, they're adapting. That's the quiet revolution of the 21st century. Sovereignty without permission. And while governments lecture citizens about financial crime, central banks are quietly hoarding the oldest illegal asset of them all, gold. They're not diversifying, they're hedging against themselves. Because the black market always starts with citizens, but it ends with elites. Once they realize their own system is fragile, they start playing by its underground rules. That's why studying black markets isn't about crime, it's about clarity. They reveal what every empire tries to hide. The moment trust disappears. The black market is not the enemy of the system. It is the reflection of a system's defeat. Whenever a government loses the trust of its people, an alternative begins to form quietly, deal by deal. The official economy is built on control. The underground economy is built on truth. And when those two paths intersect, collapse isn't approaching. It has already arrived. So ask yourself, if tomorrow your money was frozen, if banks restricted access, if your paycheck suddenly lost half its value, what would you rely on to survive? That answer reveals your true economy, that hidden world beneath the statistics. History speaks with one consistent voice. First, the official currency falls. Then, the black market rises. But gold endures.